Oh, hello! Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and in this episode, we will be talking about more of the raddest rides in 80s action figures. In this installment, we are getting a fine sampling of all kinds of radical rides from throughout the 1980s. Everything from rad rides from TV sitcoms, rad rides from cartoons, and of course, rad rides from awesome toy lines. So, without further ado, let's get to number 1. Our first radical ride comes from a sitcom that first aired in 1978. Now, the toys were released by Mattel in 1980, which was kind of smack dab in the middle of this TV show's lifespan, as it eventually wrapped up in 1982. Now, the show was Mork and Mindy, and the vehicle is simply named Four-Wheel Drive. It is a version of Mindy's Jeep that we saw in the opening of every episode as they were driving through Boulder, Colorado, where they lived. For those of you that don't know, Mork and Mindy was about an alien that came to Earth. Mork, played by the talented, genius, and sorely missed Robin Williams. Well, he shacks up with an Earthling named Mindy, and it's one of those will they, won't they silly sitcoms that, eventually ended up with them getting married and having a child. That was played by Jonathan Winters. I don't mean as a voice, actually the actor, Jonathan Winters. Yeah. I will not go into any more detail, I'll just leave you at that, and if you're not familiar with the show, please check it out. Anyway, the four-wheel drive, like I said, is just a Jeep, and this was made for the 12-inch doll figures in the line, which there were only two, Mork and Mindy. Now, really quick, as a side note, the packaging for Mork is brilliant because it actually has him upside down, and if you're familiar with the show, Mork always sat in chairs upside down, or couches or anything else. So, this is very funny and whimsical packaging to, kind of give you that feel for the show. Now, the packaging says that this vehicle is over 18 inches long, has movable wheels, and a real working winch. That's pretty awesome. This may actually fall into the doll category more so than the action figure category, but, it's Mork and Mindy, so I definitely had to talk about it. The only other toy that was released in this line, other than the Mork and Mindy dolls and the Jeep, was a Mork action figure. Now, this is your typical 3 3/4 action figure released at the time that pretty much had the same, posability as a Star Wars figure at the time, just arms, legs, and head. And it came packaged with, Mork's ship, if you will, the egg. And, what's really cool is they did a good job with the Orkian, I guess that's how you say it, his alien flight suit from the planet Orkian. That works. Anyway, pretty cool. Of course, this is not to scale for anything else really that I would have other than my 12-inch G.I. Joes, and, that'd be cool. They're, out on R&R and, hitting the slopes in Colorado in this Jeep. That works. That'd be really fun. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, so nanu. Our second radical ride answers an age-old question. What would Battle Cat look like with a pink afro? Wait, am I the only one that's ever wondered that? Anyway, this toy, which is called the Glamorous Cat, answers that question and then some. It is Claudine from the Princess of Power toy line. Released by Mattel in 1985, Claudine is pretty much the female equivalent of Battle Cat or Panther. Only making one appearance in the She-Ra Princess of Power cartoon, Claudine is Catra's mount, her friend, because just like Battle Cat, she talks. And yes, it's a she, even though it has a male lion's mane. Claudine also takes a page out of Panther's playbook and has awesome flocked fur. Albeit pink instead of purple, but still pretty neat, and has a built-in seat for Catra so they can ride around together, pal around, attack people, what have you. I think Claudine is a given if you're a collector of the She-Ra Princess of Power toys. I mean, this is awesome and just would go perfectly with your Battle Cat or Panther on your shelf. I mean, the ones that I've seen used, of course, with the pink being a lighter color, the flocked fur gets very stained up and dirty, and that's understandable. So it would be pretty hard to find a good condition one for a fair price. But if you're a collector, good luck, and I hope you find one. Number 3 comes from an adult movie franchise that was turned into a kid's cartoon and had a toy line released by Kenner in 1988, and that is Police Academy. The rad ride is the Crash Cycle. Now, the packaging of this shows Zed just being ejected from the bike, and at the top of the packaging it has Tackleberry. So the Police Academy toy line, in all honesty, is very silly, and it matched the, vibe of the cartoon. But it looks like on the packaging they're actually acknowledging that you can have two different vibes to this toy. Either it be silly, like with a Zed, because it has an ejection seat, or look kind of badass, like it does with Tackleberry. Now, that being said, this is actually a pretty cool looking police motorcycle that I could see being, fit into other playtime adventures, albeit with a slightly bigger scale, since the, Police Academy figures were more akin to like the Playmates toys at the time, like, Ninja Turtles. Now, something on the box that kind of throws me is that it says it's the official, training cycle for the Police Academy. Why do they have to throw official in there? I mean, were there a lot of, Police Academy, clones running around at the time? I don't think so. So they didn't need to take that extra step. We get it. It's Police Academy. We believe you. This next radical ride comes from a toy line that we talked about in a previous episode of Plastic Ghosts, the Ninja episode, and it is Wind Spirit for the Ninja Warriors toy line released by Hasbro. Released in 1987, Wind Spirit is a horse, a very simple horse, but pretty cool nonetheless. Now, Wind Spirit comes packaged with the Ninja Oji-san. And, I mean, it looks okay, the ninja looks cool, the horse is pretty cool, and it's cool to have a horse of that scale, Masters of the Universe-esque scale. I mean, we never had just a simple horse, so, you could throw He-Man up on it, you could throw these ninjas on it, have yourself a grand old time with Wind Spirit. But, all that being said, the front of this packaging just seems to lack pizzazz. Now, the back of the packaging makes up for that, because this artwork is awesome. I mean, Wind Spirit looks awesome, Oji-san looks awesome, and the entire cast of characters from Ninja Warriors fighting off to the side, just great. I mean, this should have been the front of the packaging. I mean, this picture alone would have sold millions of this horse. I mean, it is beautiful artwork. Now, I don't have a lot of memories of this toy line. I mean, I think that my neighbor at the time that pretty much had everything had some of them, but I don't really remember in great detail. But believe me, if I would have seen this artwork on the shelf, I definitely would have remembered and gotten. Our last entry on the list comes from a very criminally forgotten fantasy toy line from 1983. Now, the toy line was The Other World, and it was released by Arco. Now, this rad ride is Mock, a snapping turtle with an awesome play feature. He had a catapult on his back with glow-in-the-dark boulders. I mean, how awesome is that? Anything glow-in-the-dark at that time was just the epitome of awesomeness. I mean, the Otherworld toy line had a lot of glow-in-the-dark features. Practically all of the weapons that the action figures came with were glow-in-the-dark. Now, Mock, like I said, was a big snapping turtle with a catapult on his back. And it had awesome, imagination-fueled play features like huge tusks, poison quills. What other kind of crap does it say? Excuse me. It says it has razor-sharp tusks, hypnotic gaze. Not really a play feature, but still pretty cool. Slithery skin. Powerful launching catapult. And poisonous quills. Now, Mock the Rock Thrower, it might be kind of cheating because I don't think it's a mount or rad ride, but the Otherworld action figures, instead of having, joints for posability, they were bendy. So, I mean, looking at this, you could just easily bend some dude to sit on his back, or, on the side of the catapult, what have you. I mean, that was one of the cool things about the Otherworld toy line, was it was just different. They were bendy, so it offered a whole new way of playing with these pretty cool action figures. Now, this also came with one of those, cone head little dwarf gnome peoples. I don't know what they're called, I totally forget, but he comes with one of those, so, I mean, those are just little PVC figures, so I don't see him sitting on the back, but you never know. But one of the things that this touts is that it's motorized. I mean, it's huge, it's emblazoned on the front of the packaging. But this is what gets me. It says it's motorized roaring sound. Is that all it did? Like the whirling of gears inside when you pop batteries in made it roar? I mean, I find that very intriguing. I'm very curious about that because it doesn't have, motors to make it move. It just has motor to make it roar. Interesting. I mean, why even go through that trouble of probably having batteries to just roar? I mean, maybe it's a wind-up, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, all that trouble and it's not even going to propel itself. I mean, it's still awesome no matter which way you cut it. I mean, it's a friggin' snapping turtle with a catapult on its back. I mean, that's, like I said about this whole toy line, that's damn near perfect. Anyway, folks, that was a look at 5 more radical rides from 80s action figures. And I know I say this a lot, but yeah, this series can go on for a very long time because one thing about the 1980s, they gave us a lot of awesome vehicles. I mean, toy lines did not shy away with, providing that extra oomph to their toy line. I mean, companies just really hit the ground running and threw a lot of stuff at us, and unfortunately a lot of these toy lines didn't succeed, but these awesome vehicles are still out there and they're still awesome. Also, I just want to add real quick, the intro, a little bit different because I'm trying this year to go for just quicker videos all in all because, yeah, I can run at the mouth a lot and a pretty simple video can sometimes run 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and that's just crazy in this day and age. People don't want to watch that, so I shortened the intro a little bit just to, grab your attention and thrust you into the awesome 80ness that I'm providing. Well, I think it's awesome. And if you think it's awesome too, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.